This is the warning. It seems to me that there's a question at hand. It has to do with something that might have fallen in plain sight. When was precisely in the history books that instant where Caesar becomes a dictator when the Roman Senate falls? Has the American Senate fallen? Has the elected political opposition in the country fallen? Adam Kitzinger's about to tell you. But did you know that the House of Representatives isn't even in Washington this week? The Democratic House isn't at the front. And at the front in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump and his addled lieutenants are stomping about the town. We must talk about this today. But first, let's listen to Adam Kitzinger, one of the best, most honest, toughest voices in American life today.
Where are the Democrats? Where is Democratic leadership? What's going on? This week has been one of the worst weeks for democracy, for the rule of law, and I don't know where the Democrats are. Are there comments on Twitter occasionally? Sure. Is there a press release? Yeah, there's a press release occasionally. But there is no organized message. There's no organized opposition.
Imagine that there is a circle and make it bigger and bigger and bigger in your mind until the whole world is a giant flat circle. Now, try to imagine the middle of it, that point at the center. And for our experiment, this will represent the white-hot epicenter of national stupidity and venality. And it's not necessarily at Mar-a-Lago. It's the Jesse Waters Show. There have been shows on Fox that are crazier. There have been shows on Fox that are meaner. There are shows on Fox, even now, that are more dishonest. But there is none that is so perfectly a reflection of our idiotized times than what is produced by the men and women around Jesse Waters. It is so astonishingly fucking stupid. I have no description for it other than to show you.
Those seeking jobs have been told they will have to prove their enthusiasm to enact Trump's agenda and have been asked when their moment of MAGA revelation occurred. Answers that we will accept: A, when Trump came down the golden escalator; B, when his first inauguration had the most attendees of all time; C, when he won the 2020 election; D, when he said fight, fight, fight; or E, all of the above.
There's this.
Do you know what they're doing with the condoms?
No.
They're making condom bombs. That's right. Hamas floats these things up with bomb-making materials and then kaboom, booby-trapped condom. Look it up. It's a dual-use technology.
And this.
Well, that's just, Elon's thing to grab your heart with one hand and then shoot it out in the sky. You're asking for it. You're asking for it. Maybe he's just not very well coordinated. I don't know.
And of course, this.
We're getting a lot of texts from women about Miller and his appearances and his appearance. Our audience at primetime believes you're some sort of sexual matador. I mean, he's no Stephen Miller, but women can't seem to get enough of him. And guys, condoms cost a couple pennies when you buy them in bulk. It's at least according to heartthrob Stephen Miller.
And so, in the circle, at the center, the great MAGA migration passes. Each and every day, there will be a figure from Trump's creature cantina that pops up. Incredibly, the doofus I am about to show you, the Secretary of Defense, our greatest national lightweight, the drunk, the accused rapist, the unfittest of the unfit, Pete Hegseth, with Jesse Waters, to talk about the opening of America's first camp.
And Guantanamo Bay, Jesse, is a perfect spot. We don't want illegal criminals in the United States, not a minute longer than they have to be. Move them off to Guantanamo Bay where they can be safely maintained until they are deported to their final location.
We'll see how many people are in Guantanamo Bay 4 years from now. But let it be known to every American soldier and sailor and airman and Marines bound by the Geneva Conventions and the Uniform Code of Military Justice that history is very clear about what happens after these moments of arrogance and abuse. What comes is accountability. And so let us hope that the ethical stain, the cancer that a Pete Hegseth brings to an organization does not infect it and turn soldiers into criminals, because it has happened before. And now there are people like this man, Elon Musk, who say because he is rich and richer than anyone else, that it's time not to remember, but to forget. At the exact instant, America shall open her first camps. And yes, the American people have decided that those who are in the country illegally will leave. They are human beings, the children of God, and should be treated with grace and dignity and humanity, as is the tradition and the ideas and the ideals upon which this republic is founded. But do we have a republic? If one was to watch Robert Kennedy in the hearings, it would be a fair question, because mostly it was soft soap to a conspiracy theorist who will kill a lot more Americans than were killed on the tragic plane crash in the Potomac. Donald Trump has sent an extremely sick man, so sick that John F. Kennedy's only surviving child, Ambassador Carolyn Kennedy, has broken silence with her family secrets to warn your family about who he is. He talks about bringing the best and the brightest to Washington to take over the public health services of a nation of 340 million people with his wackadoodle conspiracies. What he is doing is bringing a wagon full of medicine men to Washington, D.C., of the old Western variety, selling their elixirs with their con man smile, a snake in one hand, a bottle in the other. Here's the thing. It's all a scam. Chuck Schumer isn't smart enough, wily enough, tough enough to find it, to see it, to point it out. Not like Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren gets it. Bobby Kennedy is going to Washington, D.C., not to serve, but to lay the predicate for the lawsuits that when he's done, smiling Cheryl behind him will be married to a billionaire. Robert Kennedy, Secretary of Health and Human Services. Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. Pete Hegseth, super clown, accused rapist, Secretary of Defense. Appreciate something, my friends. Donald Trump signed a crime bill yesterday. It was not an occasion of state. It was not a function that involved the duties of the American commander-in-chief. It was a bill signing by the head of government, the president. And yet, he turned it into something sinister. Yeah, sinister's the word. Because behind him, he was flanked by mid-level officers of the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army, sending a signal to the world that the American military is a prop and his instrument, his tool. What is happening is the beginning of a grave crisis in America. There was a debate about who was right around seeing what was happening. That debate is over, and the people who were right were the people who warned that this is what would happen. And it has come to pass that the American Republic of 250 years duration is under assault from within, where a cancer is feasting on its ideals and ideas, with the authority granted it by 49.9% of the American people in a thinly won election that the narcissist in chief, no matter his gaslighting, will never be able to change the contours of. He has not ever won more than 50% of the vote. The American people have never given him a majority. And though he has won, there are many who oppose. And we must begin to have our voices heard, and we must begin to appreciate the disappointment of a failed Democratic Party leadership. Where are these people? Donald Trump faces the American people. And what is so worrying in this moment and causes so much anxiety is the fact that the American people are quite slow to rise to anger, to involvement. But they will rise because the encroachments that are coming cannot be hidden. 1 week in, there is chaos in Washington, D.C. There is a gathering of unfitness and a deep loathsomeness. And it's coming for you, and it's coming for me, and it's coming for our friends and our families, and it's coming for our countries and our allies, and decency and goodness. It's coming. Get ready to stop it. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.